it is time for our best bets of the weekend. So I've gone back and forth about this. You have some people that do this, and they're like, well, I'll put 3 units on this and then 1 unit on this. I'm not doing that. That's just too much. Right? I'm just doing straight picks, and then each thing you can do whatever you like. 1 unit is what I would recommend. Do I like some of these plays more than others? Yeah, but that's just kind of, where we're at with this. We've done 6 bets week 1 and week 2. We're doing 6 again this week. We'll see if I pivot off that at some point. We're 5-7 on the season. Should be 6-6. Had the Rams plus 3.5. If anyone watched that game last week, that is the most devastating loss when it comes to gambling that you could possibly have. But here we go. I like the road teams a lot this week. I like the road teams a lot. 2 NFL, 4 college football. Let's get it going at my best bets of the weekend. Texas A&M. Previewed them earlier in the show. They are hosting Auburn, only laying 6.5 points. Have the week rest, obviously. They beat Notre Dame. They were off. Auburn had to go to Oklahoma and lose in heartbreaking fashion. They get a couple of calls that go against them. The officials, by the way, have come out and said those calls were messed up, so that's got to be incredibly frustrating. The last thing you want to be doing if you're Auburn is looking in the rearview mirror when you got to go to College Station and play a very formidable opponent in Texas A&M. Marcel Reed is unbelievable with his legs, but that passing game has really opened up for Mike Elko. That has been impressive to watch there as well, and that receiving core for Texas A&M. Have been really, really impressed with them. Mario Craver and KC Concepcion. Again, not going to say they're Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith, but they're one of the best wide receiver duos in college football. They're really, really good. 7 points obviously wins it at minus 6.5. I like the Aggies. 3:30 game. Not quite, College Station at night, but that's going to be a packed out stadium. 100,000 plus people are going to be absolutely going crazy for Texas A&M. It's going to be a difficult environment for Auburn, right? They just gave up 10 sacks last week against Oklahoma. It's going to be loud. They're going to be disoriented along their offensive line. Jackson Arnold is not better than Marcel Reed. Marcel Reed clearly the superior quarterback in this game, and Mike Elko clearly the superior head coach over Hugh Freeze. I'm laying the 6.5 and taking Texas A&M. LSU. On the road at Ole Miss. Said it earlier in the show, I don't get why LSU is an underdog in this game. And usually when you have that type of situation and you're talking about gambling, that's not a good thing because Vegas usually knows something that you don't, and you usually are going to lose that bet. But I'm going to fall right into the trap here, and I'm taking LSU plus 2.5. The Ole Miss, I think they're borderline fraudulent. They credit to them. They beat Arkansas and Kentucky, but they messed around with them a little bit. Lane Kiffin, I get he's got a Kentucky problem, but Kentucky is one of the worst, if not the worst team in the SEC. And that defense for Ole Miss, not very good. Now I understand the offense for LSU has significantly underperformed. They haven't been able to run the football. I think that changes this week. You're going to see them have a more balanced attack offensively. I think Garrett Nussmeier protects the football and makes some really good throws in the game. I think LSU wins outright, but I'm going to take the points plus 2.5. Give me the LSU Tigers going in to Vaught-Hemingway Stadium at Ole Miss and defeating the Ole Miss Rebels in that game. Alabama, Georgia. Alabama travels to Athens in between the hedges. Spent time earlier in the show talking about, Georgia doesn't lose at home. 33 consecutive wins at home for Georgia. They haven't lost a game at home since before COVID, which is 2019, which is quite some time ago. Kirby Smart has a bit of an Alabama issue. 1-6 against Alabama as the head coach of the Georgia Bulldogs. Obviously, the one is a really big one because it was a national title game. First time he gets Alabama in between the hedges. Always been a neutral site game or in Tuscaloosa. He finally gets them in Athens. He's got a really good team. But Ty Simpson, I said it before the year and I'm saying it right now, he was not the reason they lost against Florida State, and he has been the hottest quarterback in the country the past 2 weeks. Kirby Smart said that at the podium earlier this week. He has to be really, really good for Alabama to win this game and or cover the spread. Has to be really, really good. If he goes, turns the football over, careless with the football, and does not play well, they will lose and probably lose by double digits. But I am betting on Ty Simpson in this game. I think he is a far superior quarterback to that of Gunnar Stockton. Kalen DeBoer has had massive issues on the road. He's got to get that fixed. He has to get that fixed. His teams don't even look close to how they look at home on the road. All the losses at Alabama have been on the road, and there's been some really ugly performances on the road, even games in which they have won. He's got to get it turned around. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a crazy environment. The offensive line was suspect. So I've got my questions on Kalen DeBoer and whether or not he can get his team in a spot to do it. But I've got a lot of confidence in Ty Simpson. The Georgia football team is better than they were last year, but this defense isn't a typical Kirby Smart defense. Yeah, they fly around. They've got great size, great athleticism. They make plays. But you saw Tennessee score lots of points against them a couple of weeks ago. I think Alabama will score lots of points to them as well with Ty Simpson. Don't know if Alabama's going to win the game outright, but I have them covering plus 3.5. Also taking another away team in Happy Valley this week. I think Oregon's got the better team. I think they got the better coach. I think Dan Lanning, I said Ryan Day is the second best coach in college football at this point. I think Dan Lanning is right there looking to overtake Ryan Day at that spot. And this is a game that Dan Lanning, his teams win this type of game. I think they're going to be more physical than James Franklin. I think they've got the better quarterback in Dante Moore. I think the run game of Oregon is going to help them ease into the game and going to create a little bit less pressure on Dante Moore. And James Franklin just can't get over the hump. I think Drew Aller is borderline fraud. He has lots of great traits, but he hasn't proven he can win these top of the line games, matchup type games against really good teams. I think Oregon covers the spread, and I also think Oregon wins the football game as well on the road against Penn State. So those are our 4 college football plays. Now 2 more in the NFL. Sunday Night Football, Green Bay at Dallas, taking another road team here this week, which obviously on the road, particularly with college football, cause for concern there, but here we are. We're doing it anyway. Dallas, their whole DNA this year after trading away Micah was, we need Dak Prescott to be really good and we need CeeDee Lamb to be really good. Dak Prescott has been sensational. I don't care about, the stat line that you saw in the Bear game. Dak Prescott has been really, really good this year. One of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League. I'm not saying he's one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League. I'm saying he's playing at it this year, this season. He loses CeeDee Lamb. He's going to be throwing to, Jalen Tolbert and Ferguson and, Kevontae Turpin and George Pickens. Like, that's tough scene, really tough scene. They've got issues running the football as well, and that defense very well could be the worst defense in the National Football League. Green Bay just lost to Cleveland. They're going to be coming in there ticked off. Green Bay absolutely owns the Dallas Cowboys as well. Jordan Love is going to be slinging it all around against that defense. Again, that Cowboy defense is awful. I'm laying the 6.5 points on the road. Give me the Green Bay Packers, and candidly, I don't think that one will be very close. And then technically not a weekend game, but the first Monday Night Football game. This one kicks off at, I believe, about 7 o'clock. Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets, 2 winless football teams, 2 really bad football teams, and not always a good idea to bet on a game where you have 2 really bad teams playing, but that's what we're going to do here. Miami, I think a lot of people expected them Thursday night to go into Buffalo and get the doors blown off them. That did not happen. They competed in that football game against, many people would argue, the best team in the National Football League. Played solid in that game. Tua had the late interception, but beyond that, he played solid in the game. There was questions on whether or not the team would quit on Mike McDaniel. That clearly did not happen. Lots of backups defensively for Miami, and they hung in there against Buffalo. I think they're a better team than the Jets. I think it's a game that Mike McDaniel and Tua absolutely have to win, avoid 0-4. I think they got better players. Quarterback questions, obviously, for the Jets. Miami is at home. Prime time, I think you see them play well in the game and cover -2.5 against the Jets. One more time, A&M -6.5 at home against Auburn. LSU +2.5 at Ole Miss. Alabama +3.5 at Georgia. Oregon +3.5 at Penn State. Green Bay -6.5 at Dallas. And Miami -2.5 at home against the Jets. 4 away teams that we are betting on, and 2 home teams. 5-7 on the year, looking to improve that record, at least get back to even, or hopefully send it in the right direction there as well.